Welcome all of you again to this second webinar on uh, parenting, improving students' academic performance, and I will hand over to Vikas Dikshit sir to take it further. So you can start sharing your screen.
Yes, good evening everybody. Welcome to daily parenting community formed by Anavaran and our okay, yes, Lata is saying only English. So I will stick to English as much as possible. So thank you very much for joining this wonderful webinar. This is the second one in our series of webinars. We'll be monthly conducting one webinar. Our purpose is to help parents do better in parenting. Unfortunately, we are never taught parenting as a subject in schools or even in homes, and that is why so many mistakes can happen inadvertently. They are not, of course, desired or intended mistakes, but they do happen, and the result is then ultimately, the performance of our children in schools, which becomes a very moot point for parents later on, because they have done so well in their school days, and now their children are not doing adequate enough. So it becomes a big issue in the homes. So the purpose of today's webinar is to understand some techniques and to understand some points in which the ways in which we can help our children to do better and better, and then it should become enjoyable as well to all of us, to the children as well as the parents, because we should enjoy our parenting and children should enjoy their days as children. So in the process, these both things do not sometimes happen, because we get too tense or our desires are expectations are too much, and then they affect the performance of the children. So are you able to see, Saurabh?
Yes, we can see. You can start the slideshow.
Yeah. So today's topic is daily, improving students' academic performance, and how shall we do it? As we all know, parents want their children to do well. So, but some of them do. Rather, a small number of them do well in schools, and that is why only 5 or 10% students in the class are generally doing better, and the rest of and you take any class, and even out of those children, as they start going to the larger classes, to colleges, then they start falling back, because these other children are not studying, and parents do not understand why they are not studying, what is happening with them, why they cannot focus on the studies, why they cannot take interest in the studies, and a lot of tension arises out of that because of this issue. So what is the root cause? Root cause is they are not like, this is the fundamental thing, that students who study well love study. They actually want to study. It is their own desire to study. And why is that? Because they love it. Because they love it, they will do it. And students who do not study, they do not like it. So what we need to do is to help them to like it. So if we consider ourselves, again, same thing is happening. What are we doing? We are doing what we like to do. So people who like to travel will travel. People who like to read, they love to read. People who like to eat, they will continue eating. So students who like to do something else, like maybe they want to play. They want to play games. They want to do some mobile, games. They want to, and they do that. So because they find it interesting, they continue to do that. So what is now a parent to do in such a case? So these are the main reasons why students are not liking the studies. First and foremost is their mind is not peaceful, and this is generally true for everybody. Everybody uh, who is living, who is breathing, the mind is generally, unless you are making a big effort, you are doing some meditation, you have learned something to make your mind peaceful. Generally, nobody's mind is peaceful. Students is definitely not, because they have not been taught in the schools. In fact, earlier in our country, in our culture, the first thing that used to be done by the teachers was to check whether the student's mind is peaceful and receptive to learn what I am teaching. If the mind is not peaceful and receptive, there is no point in teaching. So this applies for the students. It also applies for the parents, because they have also not learned to keep their mind peaceful. So nowadays, many people are doing yoga, meditations, and lots of things are going on, which are very nice. But if the mind is not peaceful for whatever reason in the moment, for example, if the parent sees that student's exam is nearby and he is still playing, so that disturbs the parents' state of mind, and they get angry, they shout or punish or whatever happens. Again, their mind is not peaceful. So lack of peace in the home is going to be a big problem. Second problem is the identity, which gets damaged. Now, many of you may have heard the story of Shivaji, uh, in which Jizabai told Shivaji very early on that you are born to be a king, and that created his identity. So from day one, probably, the newborn Shivaji started acting like a king, and he knew he is going to be a king. So very early, at the age of 16, he became actually the king, and that we all know. So everybody's identity is important. So for what kind of identity we want our son or daughter to have? Identity of a smart, intelligent boy or girl. So this is important to work on identity of our own children. Third is limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs is I have told you another story in which the teacher shouts at a child that you will not learn mathematics. Now this child who learned it very early from the teacher and believed the teacher, now he is going to have that limiting belief that mathematics is not for me. Mathematics I cannot learn. So this is going to be a big problem later in later years, unless that limiting belief is removed by some really skillful parent or teacher or a therapist. That person will have a lot of limiting beliefs, and with these limiting beliefs, suppose this is installed when the child is very young, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, and now he has gone to 10th standard or 11th standard. He is studying with that limiting belief, and that is going to be another big problem. So he is not going to like study. Another factor, when the mind is not ready to learn, it's not receptive. That time forcing some, when particularly mind is tired, suppose child has studied or at least sitting in front of the desk and making a effort to study for, let us say, half an hour. Now he is really tired. Now the mother or father comes and they start pushing him. Okay, you study hard, and so he is not going to be very receptive. So trying to teach when mind is not receptive is another problem, and this results into not liking studies. So once they decide that, okay, I don't like study, I like playing. I like playing in the ground, or I like gaming on the laptop or my mobile, then that decision will always come in the way of further studies. Then asking questions. So what happens very early on, and this happens particularly in the schools. What happens is, you know, children are taught in big groups, like maybe 25, 30, or even 50, 60. And teacher thinks that, okay, she has taught well, but we all know there are good teachers and bad teachers. That is the reality. If the bad teacher teaches it badly, and then what happens? She has to go on to the examination. So when examination happens, now the child who has not understood is going to fail, because he has not been taught in the way in which he actually understands. Now, since this happens, when the exam comes and he fails and he gets a report card, the teacher feels he is not a bright or intelligent child. So he is stamped. he stamped that he is not the bright or intelligent, which is completely erroneous. What happens is the child carries the report card home, and parents also believe that my child is not intelligent. My sister's child is intelligent. My friend's child is intelligent. Mine is not intelligent. Now, again, this creates a very big limiting belief, and this stamp is carried by that unfortunate child throughout his life. And that's a very bad and disappointing thing. So that is another issue. Again, pressure from parents, peers, and self. As the children grow, the parents start expecting at least they should focus on study, at least they should get this many marks, and so on and so forth, because they start seeing the future events. If he doesn't get marks, then he will not get admissions. Then maybe there will be it will completely affect uh, the child's future. So worries, all these things start putting pressure in the minds of parents, and they transfer it to the students. Again, it is coming from competing uh, peers also, and then ultimately it starts coming from themselves, because every student wants to do well initially in the classes, in examinations. Unfortunately, they try, and then what happens is they cannot do well. Then that puts a pressure on themselves. So that is how even there is a self pressure that they want to do it, but they can't do it, and they don't know how to do it. And even parents are unable to guide them in a way so that they will start doing. So we are going to learn ways and means of helping parents to help them to do better. And stressful environment and conditioning. Now, what is stressful environment? There are many reasons for that. In the families, for whatever reasons, if the environment, particularly between both parents, if there is stress, now that stress gets transferred to the children. I am regularly in touch with parents, and in my counseling work, I understand there are a lot of pressures, discords between parents, and that negatively affects the children's performance for sure. And naturally, at the current times, distractions are there. Distractions or attractions, whatever you call it, like social media, like gaming, like mobile, these are like friends. And these are ideas, these are attractions that children have not learned to keep away from. So they are not disciplined enough. In fact, I have chosen at least 50 good qualities that every parent should be teaching the children. But they are forgotten nowadays. Only thing that is being in focus is, school performance and the marks and what he is doing. So that should not be because all these, the discipline, the honesty, the understanding importance of work, the humility, all these things are going to lead to better performance in schools and academics. So, but that is besides the point. So my contention here.
I would just like to add
Yeah.
one thing. So things Dikshit sir explained this identity point in quite detail, but I think it's very important to note like how it works. It starts working in a very subtle way, like a very small things as what we say to our children, like which actually we don't want them to do, but then we see children doing. For example, if a child is not listening to the parents, and we say, oh, he or she does not listen, I mean, or never listens to us, right? And we are seeing this in front of the child many times, and this happens. We don't even realize that we are actually giving this instruction to that child's subconscious mind, or we are actually sort of installing that in the mind, or for that matter, use of mobile, right? He's all day on the mobile, and we are actually telling that child that you are actually this, and the child, whatever identity the child is getting, the child is operating from that identity, right? And what I mean, in some cases, it is also very powerful identity. Like some children are very sincere, or they are very disciplined, and maybe parents are also telling these things to the child. So what the child identifies himself or herself as is what he or she is going to operate from. Like a very simple thing: do I consider myself as I can do something, or I cannot do something? Is as it could be as like straightforward as that as it gets. So I just wanted to emphasize this point. Yes, sir, you can continue,
Thanks,
please.
Gaurav. So my contention to all the parents is every child is born a genius, but that child is molded into what he or she is today. So if they are shining in the school in academic performance, that is because in the childhood they experienced a supportive atmosphere, climate, a good teacher, a good parent, and that is why they are now performing. But if they are not, that is also because of the teachers, parents. So it is not really the child's shortcoming that he is not intelligent. He is actually a genius. But what happens in the surrounding is causing the current performance of the child. I wish parents should understand this fact very clearly, because generally the parents think it is the child's mistake, it is his shortcoming, he is not intelligent, or he doesn't have that desire to learn, which is completely wrong. So as they say, when the flower does not bloom, fix the environment and not the flower. You don't fix the flower, you fix the environment. So what is the environment of the child? Environment of the child is family, parents, whatever happens within the four walls of homes, whatever happens in the school, all these things need to change. So today we are going to discuss briefly the three quick ways how we can help our children to like studies, because that is the first thing which we can do to help them like their studies itself. So, what are those three things, three ways in which we can help? First is, and these are very simple and easy to do things. And if you understand them, if you really start following them in your, day-to-day behaviors, it will give you marvelous results. It will give you, in fact, I feel that because the no parents are trained in parenting, the whole generation after generation, and very much this is very much true of the current generation, current young people, they are very negatively affected because of this. And this generation, we need to do as parents, as daily parents, we need to do something very important. So first easy thing to do is appreciate. So praise good things. Now, this itself will create a lot of doubts whether you should appreciate always, whether how you should appreciate. There is no habit of appreciating. There is no culture of appreciating in the family. And because we were not appreciated by our parents, there is no, we don't have developed. There aren't even the expressions that will naturally come to our language. And because they are not there, will not appreciate. Because will not appreciate, the children will not feel like enjoying their study. So we are going to discuss this in a little detail shortly. Second is identity. Whenever is identity problem, that needs to be, because a lot of behaviors arise out of identity. So as they say, a king will behave like a king and beggar will behave like a beggar. So whatever is person's identity, he will behave out of that. So if we create a nice identity of our child, that he is really brilliant, he is really intelligent, he is really humble, he can understand things very quickly. Again, this is a desired behavior which may not be there in the family. If it is not there and the parents not have, they haven't developed it yet. Again, this is a learning point for parents. Unless you do that, there is no point of expecting great results out of children. Maybe sometimes some children without that also will do, because they have somehow developed a great identity. But generally, parents need to work on that. And third, and it is a really third way in which we can help our children, is crystal gazing. What is crystal gazing? You may have heard of those magicians who look into a crystal ball and they can tell future. So the parents have this privilege, just like Jizabai had the privilege of deciding that her son will be a king and not a sardar. So every parent has a privilege of, because, and I'm emphasizing this point here, because there is a lot of advice being given to parents currently that don't pressurize, don't expect so many things from your children. And actually, it is working sometimes, mostly it is working counterproductive. So the parents, what I find, parents are leaving the children to their, so they are not advising the children properly. And then maybe after they have chosen their career path, and then they understand, I don't like this career path because somebody said I took this and now I don't like it. So again, there will be a big problem in academic performance. So since we have, as parent, we have this privilege of deciding. So whatever is the future that we expect from the student, that we desire, that okay, my son should become engineer, accountant, CA, or whatever, a doctor, whatever is your desire, you can start seeing it right now into future. And there is a little bit of technique in that. We'll discuss that again very shortly, briefly. But these are wonderful ways in which you can help your child to do better in the studies. So first one is praising good things, appreciate. Now, appreciate means we appreciate. It is what we do, and praise means what we tell our child. So first thing to do is to stop all criticism, because that is one thing that damages person's identity. So we should not criticize. And there is a lot of, I understand many homes and even in schools, there is a lot of criticism about what children have done, that they have not done this right, they have done this wrong, they don't want to do it, and lots of things they hear. So first, completely cut off the criticism if that is happening. That is detrimental, that is counterproductive. So we'll stop criticism. Second is notice them doing something right, even approximately right. They may not be completely doing it right, but just notice them and then start appreciating them. So first thing is to notice. So you have to train your mind to forget all the wrong things, the mistakes that the child may be doing, and focus on what is the right thing. It may be even approximately right. It may be partially right. It may be done even by chance, by mistake. He has done something right. Even then, we immediately notice it, appreciate it, and give the praising to the child. Now you see, if there is by any chance there is no habit, or the students and the children and the parents are not used for some reason, not used to this kind of language or praising or appreciation, and it happens in many homes. If they are not used, there will be initially some awkwardness. Even the parents will feel awkward. How I can praise my child? Because I have seen this happening again and again in families, that they are so awkward. In fact, it happened when I began earlier praising consciously. So even my children were surprised, why Baba is saying this? So this kind of thing will happen, but it will settle down. You will also get into the habit of praising, and the children will start receiving the praising. In fact, it's a good thing, because in the process they learn to give as well as receive love. This is one good thing we need to teach, but that is besides the point. Today I'm just mentioning the advantages of praising and appreciating children, and when that happens, the children will start liking the studies. Praise them to a third person. कोई घर में आया है, मौसी है, your aunt has come, your friend has come, praise them, whatever. And praising does not mean praising for false reason. There should be a reason for that. So what can be a reason? Suppose you have given a goal to a child that, okay, you just open your chemistry topic and just open the particular lesson, and that's it. So that was the goal. Now, if he does that, give him praising. Now you might say, this is a very small thing. ये opening से क्या होगा? इससे थोड़े ही mark बनने वाले हैं. I understand. But at least he has done that. You give him praising. So next time he finds it easier to go to the desk, open that chemistry book, and at least look at it. Otherwise, he is not even looking at it. So praise him to the third person when they can and cannot hear you. Promptly praise them. And that means, you don't praise them after he gets marks or after he gets some big admissions or big prize. that is not what you do. You praise that child immediately, because then he understands what is the good behavior, what is the expected behavior, and he will also feel good. Praising builds rapport, and when rapport is built, the relation between parent and the son or the daughter improves, because he is getting praising or she is getting praising and she is liking it. Now, praising, there is another very important aspect of this, and that is sometimes parents feel that I have appreciated the child, I have praised, he knows I love him, etc., etc. But that is not reaching across to the child, and he is not feeling it. So he will go by what he is feeling. Even if you think that you have praised him, appreciated him, you love him, if he does not, he or she does not feel it, they will not get satisfaction of your good comments. So praising builds rapport, and praising is one of the best and the most effective deposits in emotional bank account. Emotional bank account is like your normal bank account where you deposit money. So every time you deposit certain amount, it adds up and it collects there, and the balance grows. Same happens. So when you put these praisings one after another in child's life, your balance with him grows. Now, at some point of time, if you happen to get angry or do some mistake in parenting, the child is going to understand that. So these are the important things. Saurabh, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, just one thing, like we might wonder that then should we praise for anything and everything that a child is doing? So it's not that, as sir mentioned, that. So there will be some goals which will be set maybe by the child or maybe by together, you and the child, like what the child has decided to do. And this praise should come in context of those things, just so that we are clear on what the praise is to be. But then once the child has decided that he or she will do something, and then he or she is moving in that direction, as the second point says, even approximately right, that is where, so we should find the opportunities to appreciate things which the child has decided and is doing and is moving in that direction, so that we identify those things, appreciate those things, and praise the child for doing that, which then reaches the child and then is encouraged to do more of that. Yeah, that's it. Can continue, sir.
Right. So second thing is working on identity. And here I have really good suggestions which you can really put to good use in your families immediately. If your child is, whatever age, with whatever is the topic, maybe some of you are not thinking about academic performance and something else, maybe about discipline, maybe about some behaviors. So one thing to do is, suppose a parent's child is not studying, but a mother can start repeating to the child that in reality, actually, he wants to study. Now it is very clear. She is every day saying he doesn't even want to, he is not opening his books. But mother is repeatedly saying, in reality, असल में, खरं म्हणजे, त्याला करायचंय, असल में ये करना चाहता है, असल में he is good, असल में इसका अंडरस्टँडिंग बहुत अच्छा है, खरं म्हणजे त्याला हे सगळं करायचंय, हे आता रिपीटेडली म्हणत राहणं आईने, ह्याचा मुलावर खूप परिणाम होतो. हे बार बार कहने से the child will feel that actually he wants to do it, and this will go, this has many benefits. One is, after some time he will start actually demonstrating this behavior that he loves studying, so he will actually start studying. Secondly, the relation between parent and child gets better. So that is why. And thirdly, even the parent starts believing this, because they say it again and again. Earlier, they were believing exactly opposite thing, that he doesn't want to study, he doesn't like, ये करेगा ही नहीं. इससे बेहतर है कि हमें, we should believe that he is going to do it. So that is why these are the things. Mark these three things. In reality, असल में किंवा खरं म्हणजे. आणि ह्याची तुम्हाला म्हणजे टकळी म्हणजे काय माहिती असेल तर, पीपल यूज टू यूज इट फॉर, वो एक छोटा सा इंस्ट्रूमेंट था कि वो घुमाने के बाद वो घूमते ही रहता था फॉर घंटों तक. तो सो व्हेन समबडी स्टार्ट्स स्पीकिंग and doesn't stop, then there is a Marathi expression की त्याची टकळी सुरू झाली. So he will not stop, he is unstoppable now. So parents should become unstoppable in this, that in reality he wants to do it, असल में ये करना चाहता है, असल में ये बड़ा इंटेलिजेंट है, खरं म्हणजे तो फार शिस्तशीर मुलगा आहे. आता ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी परत परत बोलून ये बार बार कहने से एक क्लाइमेट घर में तैयार हो जाता है. वो प्यार का क्लाइमेट है, वो कनेक्शन का क्लाइमेट है, कनेक्शन बिटवीन पेरेंट एंड as I mentioned, connection, I see that connection broken, particularly when the children, boys and girls come to teenage. Those are very difficult times because they start, thinking that they know everything. They are now independent. They should not be controlled, and lots of things start happening. And that is the time when the connection starts, really getting challenged, getting broken. So that is where we need to take care. So use these expressions, appreciate their uniqueness. Don't compare them with, even their sibling or even their, friends or somebody else. So they are unique and they are your children and they are, God's gift to you. So it is your responsibility to appreciate their uniqueness, give them good values, give them, some time ago, I have also sent you the manifesto of parents, of daily parent. And there also you will understand that since they are given to you by God, now you should do your best to give them good training and good childhood as well. So give them due respect. As I talked about Shivaji Maharaj and Jijabai, even Jijabai used to talk to Shivaji Maharaj in within a respective. So ती त्यांना तुम्ही आलात का, तुम्ही गेलात का, अशी लँग्वेज. आणि अजूनही काही काही घरांमध्ये आय सी दिस काइंड ऑफ लँग्वेज, व्हेरी रिस्पेक्टफुल लँग्वेज इवन फॉर द चिल्ड्रन. सो गिव्ह देम ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट. अँड देर आर ऑफकोर्स we are conducting training and using this magic spin technique so that quickly their identities get enhanced. They start actually feeling inside themselves that they are, intelligent, they are going to achieve success, they are going to get good marks. So this is the second thing. And third is, of course,
I would just like to add one
yeah,
small thing.
yeah,
If you can go back to the earlier slide.
yeah,
So how this works is in reality, like as sir mentioned, like you can keep saying in reality, my son is like he loves studies, or in reality he's very sincere. असल में बहुत sincere लड़का है या लड़की है. So a very simple example of what we say to the child makes the impact. I'll give an analogy. A child is climbing a tree, okay, a small child, and the parent is watching the child. And if the parent says, okay, don't leave your hands, otherwise you will fall down. Okay, and this happens in a lot of times, right? Lot of times a child is doing something and maybe we want to be very cautious and hey, don't do this, otherwise this will happen, you will fall down and all, right? The child is hearing that. Whereas if in the same case, if the parent says, hey, I know, hold on tight, I know you'll be able to do it, अच्छे से पकड़ना मुझे मालूम है तुम कर सकते हो, right? So this is a difference. And if you keep talking to your children in this, like in this positive language, so असल में ये बहुत sincere है, असल में इसको पढ़ाई बहुत अच्छी लगती है, right? This is what a child is hearing, and that actually starts making that change. So in the example what we saw, if you say कि हाथ मत छोड़ना नहीं तो गिर जाओगे, the child is hearing हाथ छोड़ना, गिरना, maybe most probably the child will fall because that's what the child is hearing and learning. Whereas in other case, hold on tight, I know you'll be able to do it. It is reassuring the child, yes, I can do it, right? It is actually instilling that confidence, that identity in the child. So these are small things, and again, repeating those things over and over actually makes the change, and that's the magic. And I think you should experience it to believe it. Yes, I can proceed.
yeah. So third thing is, of course, crystal gazing. So make the list of good characteristics, behaviors, qualities. And sometimes, you will notice that, okay, my son is not disciplined or my daughter is, not punctual, something like that. So make the opposite of that and create a list of these are the very qualities that you want to see in your child. So good characteristics, behaviors, qualities, you make a list of them. Imagine your daughter or son has acquired them. So no harm in imagining. Actually, at a future point of time, maybe he is not doing too well, but imagine that he is going to do well, very well next year. Imagine that. Create that clear picture in your mind and repeatedly see this picture often, daily. What it does to the child. Actually, you have not done anything with the child yet. You have worked on yourself because you are the environment of the child. Child's performance is not happening well because part of the environment is you. Please understand this so that you can make changes in yourself. And this is a good way of making changes in your own thinking. When you start making these changes in your own thinking, your thoughts change, your actions change, your communication, whatever you speak with the child changes, and ultimately it results into in the due course of time, the child also gets these ideas and they start. You see, whatever problems have arisen till now with the children, they are because of the environment and they took time to arise. Now, if you want to change them for the better, again, it is going to take some time. And that is why we need to give it time. So we need to be patient. We need to be, and we can do this. This is a beautiful, exercise that you can do. In fact, we teach these to parents, and we are planning to conduct a few workshops for parents who are interested. So this is one very good technique by which slowly, and your tension will reduce, your anxieties will reduce, and that will also help child so that his pressure will be reduced. And yeah, so these are the three things that you can immediately start doing during maybe 6 months, 8 months, 1 year. You will be, so when is the best time for a parent to start doing all these things? When the children, because the child should start liking his studies when he is maybe in second or third. So you should start then. But if your children are older now, maybe 7th, 8th, 10th, or even in college, still you should begin right now. So now is the time to learn and start using these techniques, make necessary changes so that your life will also become better and the child's life will be better. Child will enjoy his childhood. You will enjoy your parenthood. You will become efficient and effective. And that will be really a win-win situation for you and your children. So, and the last point I want to make here is all behaviors ultimately come from within, and that means subconscious. They are automatic. You may decide and that okay, I will not get angry, or I will not criticize, or I will not put the child on the spot all the time, and that will work 1 or 2 times. But this willpower will ultimately fail because whatever is the program inside your subconscious will come out and you will behave like that. And same is true about children also. So we need to make necessary changes in the subconscious. Whose subconscious? The child's subconscious as well as the parent's subconscious. That is why we are conducting workshops for the children in which we teach them some exercises which they can actually start using, and then that automatically changes their subconscious processes. And we are also guiding parents. So we are planning some workshops for parents as well, and to make, because they also need to change. So these changes will come only after we make those subconscious changes. They will be lasting changes.
Okay, so there are some questions coming in the chat. When will be those workshops? So yeah, we are working on the schedule, and we would publish the schedule of those workshops soon. So we will normally publish it on all the groups. So the daily parenting community group also will have the schedule posted on that. The next question is, the courses that you referred to are for any specific age or group. Sir, you want to answer that?
Yeah, actually, it is good for children right from 5th or 6th, where they understand. But for the parents of even younger children, they will start benefiting, because as I believe, the parenting should have been learned even before we became parents. So maybe there could be designed one a course, certificate course or diploma course for parenting, and then we become parents. But since that is not happening, the earliest, right from the day one, the parenting education should start. And I hope I have answered that question.
Yeah, I'll just add a few things. So we already did a few batches for children or students, and we encourage the parents as well to join along with the students. So there are workshops for students in which we encourage parents to join along with the students, and we are also planning to do exclusive workshop for parents only. And the schedules for those schedule for all these workshops, we'll keep publishing those, and you'll keep getting those updates on the group.
Yeah, if you have joined the community, then you will definitely know that. If you have not joined the community, you can join the community, because there will be a lot of parenting inputs which will be very useful to you.
I think Santosh has a question. Santosh, you can unmute yourself and ask.
येस हॅलो सर आता मागच्या वेळेला सोहम जॉईन झाला होता, पण ह्या आता परीक्षेच्या ह्याच्यात तो एक्सरसाइज करणं म्हणजे ही इज नॉट इंटरेस्टेड किंवा त्याचा तो फोकस गेला, कारण काय तो फोकस ऍक्च्युली गेला म्हणजे
हो,
तो फोकस परीक्षा देण्यातच जातोय. म्हणजे त्याला तो म्हणजे मी त्याला दरवेळेला म्हणतो
हो.
की अरे 5 मिनिटं आपण दोघं मिळून करू,
हा.
लिहिणार मग आम्ही,
हा, हा,
पण तो म्हणतो अरे मला फोकस आधी माझा अभ्यास म्हणजे
हा.
जी परीक्षा आहे, कारण की अक्षरशः लागोपाठ परीक्षा आहेत त्याच्यात म्हणजे
हा, हा.
आज पण होती, आता
हा.
रविवारी
हा.
आहे परत, आणि मग पुढे ते चालूच राहणार आहेत टिल
हो,
मी.
बरोबर, बरोबर.
तर निदान त्याला ते काय पद्धतीने त्याला ते निदान बाबा तू कर, किंवा हे कसं मोटिवेट करू,
हो,
ते निदान एक तरी एक्सरसाइज कर, माउंटन कर, मी त्याला सांगत असतो, पण
हो.
ते जमत नाहीये ते अजून असं. दॅट्स व्हॉट आय फील. म्हणून कॅन यू गाईड ऑन मी दॅट?
या ऍक्च्युअली काय आहे की ही सगळी शिक्षण पद्धती, क्लासेस ज्या प्रकारे शिकवलं जात आहे, त्याचा हा प्रॉब्लेम आहे की एवढं प्रेशराईज एका पाठोपाठ एक त्याचं कम्प्लीट दिवस भरून टाकलेला आहे त्यांनी.
अगदी अगदी.
विच इज नॉट अ गुड थिंग. त्याला सुद्धा ब्रेन आपला किती काम करू शकतो याला एक लिमिट आहे, आणि त्याला
बरोबर.
ती आपली एनर्जी संपवणं म्हणजे ही गोष्ट अशी आहे की एखाद्या सुताराला ती करवतीला धार न करता ते कापायला लावणं लागतं. तसं आहे की तो
बरोबर.
अजून जोरात कापतोय, पण त्याला धार लावायला वेळ नाहीये.
अगदी अगदी.
हा, आता त्यामुळे त्याचं काम ऍक्च्युली स्लो होत आहे, आणि तेच जर त्यांनी वेळ काढला आणि त्याला धार लावली तर त्याचं जास्त काम थोड्या वेळात होईल, मग तो जरा आराम करू शकेल.
बरोबर.
आता हे स्टुडंट करता हे आवश्यक आहे. त्यामुळे आता म्हणजे पर्टिक्युलरली मी तुम्हाला सांगेन की यू कॅन डिसाइड, ओके हा एखादा क्लास करू नकोस, किंवा हे एखादं 10 मिनिटं रेस्ट घे, किंवा आता अर्धा तास काही करू नकोस, आणि त्याने काही आकाश कोसळणार नाही, पण हे एक्सरसाइजेस कर, कारण तेव्हा त्याचं ती एक माइंडची एनर्जी परत ती त्याची बॅटरी चार्ज होईल, आणि मग तो ते करेल, आणि दॅट विल बी व्हेरी हेल्पफुल टू हिम आय थिंक. पण ह्याच्यात यू नीड टू टेक अ डिसिजन, कारण क्लासवाले, स्कूल, आणि तो सुद्धा म्हणजे कदाचित.
हो, कारण की आता शेवटचं लॅब असल्यामुळे, म्हणजे शेवटचा महिना आहे, त्यामुळे एव्हरीबडी इज जस्ट पुटिंग प्रेशर. तोही घेतोय, पण ठीक आहे. पण आय विल कीप दिस माइंड, आणि लीनाशी बोलीन आणि ठरवू आम्ही, आणि come back to you definitely.
Okay.
Just a
thank
few.
You so much.
I'd like to share a few experiences from my close friends, children, and some of the relatives' children too. So one example is there's a exercise Pico, which is like a peacefulness exercise. And
Yes.
the one who was like doing just this exercise, the anxiety level was so low that she went for the board exams and didn't even realize that it was like a board exam. Now, whether that is good or not good, I mean, the thing is, if you have a lot of stress and anxiety and then the papers are good, then you feel very like great, right? But in this case, she was so peaceful that she was like, yeah, it was okay. I mean, and she scored really well. The other example is one of my relatives, his son was in 10th last year, CBSE board exams. And while the exam was going on, he, middle of the maths paper, he realized he misinterpreted some instructions, and then he sort of became panicked. But then he realized that okay, this is, I mean, I'm becoming panic and this is not good. He kept everything aside while the paper was still going on, and he did there's a deep blue sky meditation which was taught. He did that meditation for 5 minutes while the paper is still going on. Okay. He spent 5 minutes, he became peaceful, and he completed the entire paper within time. So I think the importance is that state of being in that state of mind is actually going to help the students and everyone. Like,
that's true, we understand.
And sir suggested maybe, okay, you don't do something for this 10-15 minutes or whatever. Maybe there's a time which is dedicated. But if that is done, the results are I mean, they will be experienced by the students themselves. And once they experience this, they will understand the importance, and then probably they will do it themselves. So maybe initially little
we have to, I think that काय म्हणतात ते रुटीन बसवायला पाहिजे. That will help them to get that experience. Once they get that experience, he will do himself. Yes.
And Santosh, I have seen students who were so relaxed. They could watch a movie on the day before the exams, even important exams, because they have learned, they know they can do it, and there is no additional, अजून 10 वेळा वाचून त्यांना कुठलाही एक मार्क वाढणार.
And one more thing to add. Sorry.
आपल्याला मुलांना आपल्या त्या लेवलला घेऊन जायचं.
नेऊन ठेवायचं. अगदी. Yes, definitely. Yes.
one more point to add here is the identity plays a very important role here.
Yeah.
If is my identity that okay, I will be able to do because I have studied it, or is my identity अरे नाही मला बहुतेक हे लक्ष मला माहित नाही, I'm not sure मी लक्षात राहील का नाही, मी परत एकदा करतो म्हणजे so that identity, and we have exercises for that as well, like magic spin. So they are so powerful, and they actually they go deep in your subconscious, and that's exactly what the purpose of all these exercises. If that kind of identity, that kind of behavior, or that kind of mindset gets installed in your subconscious, then you operate from that. So in whatever situation you are in, and it actually does not limit to the exams. It is your life. I mean, they're life situations. So
yes, I got that point. The last point also I will keep in mind, and I will, yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Shashank Joshi has asked one question: how to minimize peer pressure and undesired influences. Again, this relates to identity. People will do what they want to do, but getting affected by it comes out of the person's identity. And कोणी एखादी ऍडव्हर्स कॉमेंट केली तर ती आपण घ्यायची की नाही हे आपण शिकलं पाहिजे, म्हणजे हे मुलाला आलं पाहिजे. आणि हे this behavior will come again out of the identity. So creating the right kind of identity, that he is humble, he is his own person, he can decide things for himself. All these will reduce the pressure, because the people are doing what they are doing, but pressure we are taking. It is our response, our reaction to what they are doing. So if that is understood well, I hope I have answered that question as well. I hope Shashank is there. If he wants to speak up, you can unmute yourself, and then I think he is not there.
He's there, but yeah, maybe question is answered. If you have any more questions, please type in the chat box. We can take maybe a couple of more questions, or you may just unmute yourself, raise your hand, unmute yourself, and you can just ask the question. Okay, I'll give another few seconds if anyone has any questions. I think that's it for today.
So it's already past 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Saurabh, you want to say
something? So thanks everyone for joining this. We are also going to post this recording on YouTube. So you may want to, if you want to revisit this, or if you want to share that with any of your connections, feel free to do that. Please ask your network and your connections to join this parenting community. We are going to keep coming up with different topics. If you have any suggestions for any other topics to be covered for this webinar, then please let us know that too. And we are happy to help all of you, and we'll keep announcing the future programs as we schedule them in future. So thanks a lot, everyone, once again, and wish you and your children all the very best.